How's it going, Nathan? Thank you so much for joining me on Unleash the Knowledge's mini-series called 15 Minutes with Owen. You're an ambitious entrepreneur who has had the creator spirit since a young age, from what I've learned. You founded your first major company called Heyo when you were in college at Virginia Tech. This venture helped to connect businesses businesses on the market of Facebook to advertise their work. And after reading your book, I've learned that you've also had involvement as a real estate investor. And what you've kind of spent the most time with in the last 5 years or so has been a website called Latka.com. It's a website where you list many financial metrics and information about private SaaS companies, software as a service, to bridge the gap between venture capitalists and the business owners. Along with that, and I could see right behind you, and I know I think you just launched a new edition, but you also have a magazine with this website, which is fantastic. You also have a podcast called The Top Entrepreneurs with over 8 million downloads, which I've also learned has been the fastest growing business podcast. I'm proud to say that I am a listener of that show. And to speak further on that, I've noticed that we've also both adopted a 15-minute to 20-minute window to kind of record these podcasts, which I think we could say great minds think alike, and also that we understand the human's attention span. So we're able to get all the information to them in a clean fashion. You're also the best-selling author, Wall Street Journal best-selling author of How to Be a Capitalist Without Any Capital, the 4 Rules You Must Break to Get Rich. Very exciting read, very contemporary, which is exciting, with a lot of practical tips to take action to earn some change in your pocket, doing literally anything at any given moment in the day. And then one last piece that you're working on now is called New Stealth Project, which we'll get into a little bit later if you feel the need to express what you're doing with that. But with all that, it's amazing to hop on this call. Thank you again for doing so, and I'm excited to get some questions rolling.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, speaking of attention, I mean, you got my attention. You hustled on Instagram. You have a great Instagram account where you feature these books. So when you did that, I said, I want to know this guy. I'm happy to go on the show, but I want to meet him. So I'm happy to be here. And thanks. I'm glad you got a copy of the book. You know, it was 2 weeks before publish date, and I get an email, a very suspicious email from my publisher going, "We can't publish this." I'm going, "What the heck's going on here?" And they go, "It's too choppy. It doesn't flow." And I said, "That's on purpose. People are not going to read the whole book. They're going to open it, they're going to read 2 pages, and they're going to get distracted and go do something else." It looks like you read it, though. We've sold 30,000 copies. Curious your thoughts. Why do you think it did so well? Why do you think it sold?
I think mainly because there's a lot of authenticity that breeds through the pages. You know, you reveal your actual statements of sorts, income statements, you know, real estate numbers. I think in today's world with social media and, you know, the 21st century, there's a lot of fake news going on. There's a lot of fake personas that are being portrayed on social media. And I think the authenticity of yourself really came through the pages. Also, and like you said, you could flip up to a page. I mean, the 2 things that really interested me that I learned was you could rent a hotel room for an hour for a quick shower, and you could rent out your car for an hour or so to earn a couple bucks. 2, you know, ways to make money that I never even thought were possible. The hotel one was most interesting because, I mean, for my travel, you know, you might spend a day or a couple hours in the city, but you want to get a quick shower, you want to rest your legs, perhaps you want to do a little bit of work at the desk, and it's interesting that there's ways to do so with that kind of that idea. So yeah, I think it's really connected to your target audience. I mean, you're still a young entrepreneur, you know, you've accomplished so much in the last decade, but you're still rolling, and you've really kind of tailored your message towards people of my age. I'm only 24, and kids younger than myself as well.
Yeah, that's good. Well, listen, we're just getting started, man. So let's rock and roll. This will be fun.
Awesome. All right, let me get this timer going. We will start right now. All right, Nathan. So first question, I'm curious to get a quick glimpse of who you were leaving high school, heading into Virginia Tech. I know that you've had that entrepreneurial spirit, but what was your outlook? Were you know, a fan of college? Like, can you give us a little glimpse of 18-year-old Nathan heading into college?
I was the guy who was the senior at my high school in Northern Virginia, Loudoun County High School. I'd get my, you know, AP or AP, BC, whatever it was, calculus exam back, and I would have like a 98. And I would be that guy that would go complain to the teacher and try and say, "Why did you take off 2 points? This is baloney," and try and woo the teacher to give me back those 2. I was that guy, the guy that the rest of the class rolled their eyes at. So I cared a lot about the score, the grade, the GPA, and ultimately loved doing things related to construction and building. So got into the architecture program at Virginia Tech, which I think you have to check, but at the time it was ranked top in the country above Cornell, Harvard, and many others. So got in there and then quickly realized architects don't make a lot of money and I like money. So that's when I started thinking about how to sell and how to build. And that's where really I turned my entrepreneurship stuff up to a high degree.
That's amazing. That's hey, authenticity right there. You're a genuine guy, and you have self-awareness as well. So that's, definitely has probably breeded a lot of your success. And once
I don't give a damn, by the way, about GPAs now. I mean, everyone I've hired, I've never once looked at a resume and looked and cared about a GPA, but I did back in the day.
That's understood. It makes sense though. It's yeah, you could get hung up on that 3-digit number with the one little decimal point. But to be honest, it's how you come across as a person. It's your skill set. There's many other areas that should be focused on. Now, when you were at Virginia Tech, probably I think about your sophomore year, perhaps early on, you saw this opportunity on Facebook. I mean, it happened, or you came into college when Facebook was like blowing up. It kind of just happened. It was like 2008, I believe, or so. And you developed this idea called Heyo. Can you just give us a quick glimpse on what were your visions when you saw Facebook popping up, how it reached Virginia Tech, and then kind of the timeline of how you got the juices flowing of, wow, there's actually an opportunity here and I'm going to take advantage of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, when they see an entrepreneur like today, like you look at Jeff Bezos and you go, oh, this was a master plan. I mean, what I would tell you is like, there was no master plan. I was just operating in the moment, trading time for dollars. And so I was working at West End Grill, flipping burgers, making money as an architect major, pulling all-nighters to get my latest model built before the thesis presentation the next day. And what I wanted is just more income. So I started selling. Facebook used to, currently their profiles are different, they're circular, but on their fan pages, it used to be a long banner, I think 200 pixels by 600 pixels long. And I just found a template for those. And I started building those custom Facebook profile images. But ultimately what happened was I hated having to deal with Photoshop and sending the files back and forth with customers. So I wanted to charge more. The only thing people were willing to pay more for, though, was a customized app on Facebook versus just a customized profile. So then I found an FBML, Facebook Markup Language template on Google and started editing that and selling it to influencers on Facebook. And I called it the Expert Facebook fan page, right? We was called Fan Page Factory back in the day. And I pre-sold 100 of those at $700 a pop. So we had like 70 grand in the bank account. It was unbelievable. And then I started building them and delivering them. That was the genesis of Heyo, which was a drag and drop Facebook fan page builder.
Now, was it just yourself? Was this all you, or did you have buddies in your dorm or friends that you met at school hopping into the idea?
Back in the day, like the first couple was just me. And then I started paying a friend, I think $200 to do one of these. And I charged 700. So the margin was still good. I basically got closer to spending less time on the product, but still getting $500 of cash flow per sale. And then ultimately that morphed itself into launching an entrepreneurship club at Virginia Tech strategically so I could sort of spy and attract and find a technical co-founder. So the launch meeting of eClub at Virginia Tech, I said, hey, here's my PayPal account up on the screen. I need a technical co-founder. I'm willing to give up 40%. Whoever raises their hand first, if you're a developer, you get it. And 2 guys, Brian and Josh, raised their hand at the same time. So they each got 20%. I knew them less than 20 seconds and they were now my co-founders.
That's awesome. Are these guys you're still connected with?
No, massive mistake. Would never recommend doing it like that again. It was the most toxic situation I've ever been in my entire life because short term, I needed someone to build a drag and drop tool so I didn't have to do all the work myself. But longer term, these guys, we just did not get along. I mean, for example, I didn't know what vesting was. So they weren't on a vesting schedule, which means they owned the 40% equity immediately. The right way to do it, which I know now, is anytime you bring on a co-founder, you give them a 4-year vesting schedule. So if you give them a 20%, they earn it over 4 years. And if you fire them before 1 year or you separate, they don't get any equity. So it's called a 1-year cliff. So that's how we do it now. But no, I am not with them anymore. I haven't talked to them in years.
Understood. Well, that's good to know. I mean, it's funny that you took that approach and it was spontaneous and it was quick and you were confident, but to let everyone watching this, it wasn't the best approach. So, like I said, you're the best-selling author of this amazing book. If someone just comes across the book, comes across my profile, your profile, actually, I found this in Barnes and Noble. Literally,
Did you really?
reaching out. Yeah, I knew nothing about you, knew nothing about Heyo.
What made you pick it up?
I'm a finance guy as well from trade, from academics. So this was interesting, and I'm also big on the 21st century. While there's ways to make money in every single way under the sun. And I looked at it, and honestly, I picked it up, put it back, and then came back and was like, wow, you know what? This seems like, and I know you kind of got coined this, that you're like the new Tim Ferriss. I don't know if you like that or not, but it's something that was really interesting to me. So
I can't take credit for that. I copied it. When we started getting Amazon reviews coming in, by far the number one sort of typed phrase in the review was this is the new 4-hour work week. And I said, I love that. I'll copy it. So that's sort of how people have described it. I mean, you've read it. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I would agree to an extent that it's yeah, by all means, because that's what he's going for. It's just the new rich. It's the new possibility. It's what the internet can do for you, what your phone can do for you. You can monetize anything off Instagram. That's just one app. Nevertheless, everything else that's going on. So I would.
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly true. But I mean, you look at like Jerome's review here, 5 stars on Amazon. I mean, he says, Nathan, I started on page 243 where you posted the $6 million acquisition offer. You can flip to it now. Oh, and you can see it right there. I got it when I was 21. When I was at Virginia Tech, it was for Heyo. And my ego is huge. So I'm like, oh, $6.5 million. I'm gonna turn it down. But that would have put like $4 or $5 million in my bank when I was 21. I should have taken that deal. It was a mistake. But he goes, he basically says, Nathan, this book is basically a bunch of little chunks of really valuable ways to build a business or be a side hustle going. And you can just read 2 or 3 pages and get a lot of value. A lot of people say, Nathan, I get addicted though, and then they end up reading the whole book in like a weekend.
Yeah, that's cool. That happened to me too. Honestly, it was yeah, it's just another book that was very interesting to me. It was unconventional, and it's where the world's moving. And COVID definitely showed us that you gotta have an income coming in where you don't have to physically show up for the work. So, no, it's great stuff, and it's there's just so many tips in there, so many like examples, which is really like well written, and you don't have to there's no room to get bored is the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. We engineered the book to be a page flipper. I mean, we engineered it to make sure it got ready. I mean, how many books behind you? I mean, don't name them obviously, but you read you grab them because the title's really interesting, the reviews look great, and you read it and you get a lot of value out of like the first 10, 20 pages, but then it like just repeats itself and you stop reading. I mean, that happens to me all the time. I did not want my book to be that.
Yeah, by all means. There's it's not only the content, but there's almost a science to the structure of a book.
That's right.
Especially like we talked about with your podcast and my mini series, how people's attention spans, it's a split second. You got to grab their attention. So fantastic. So the question I was going to give you about this, if someone approaches the book, what's the number one takeaway you could provide? It's tough to kind of funnel it into one, but what's the one thing you're hoping readers to gain after reading your book?
The biggest thing is people have to realize, we are trained from a very young age, especially from our parents, especially people you're in my age, to like go to school, sort of get a job. And like the issue, even if you have a great salary, like even if you're making 150, 200 grand a year, the issue with it is we're entering sort of this new world where your job is like not secure like it used to be. Any COVID could happen any year, any day, and you could have no job tomorrow. So this idea that you should be like hyper focused on sort of one thing, I think is a massive mistake. You should almost every month be launching new side hustles, 3 new side hustles, let them run for a month or 2, and then kill 2 of them and keep one that has started making income. I mean, that is how the magazine got going. That's how the book project got going. That's how my podcast got going. I just launched an experiment 4 weeks ago on YouTube where it's like Shark Tank, but for software and side hustles. So people come on and sell live. It's doing well. So I'm going to keep doing that. But that's the biggest takeaway. There are so many ways to make money doing these little side hustle things, and they could turn into a big business before you know it.
That's fantastic. And now here's a question that could kind of segue into this. You're speaking to the young 20-year-old or 22-year-old. He's fresh out of college. He's got the debt. He's got no savings, but he's got that drive in him. He's got the entrepreneurial spirit, and he knows, like, dang, I don't want to go to this 9-to-5 corporate life, suit and tie. Yes, it's going to earn a lot of money, but my life's going to be terrible. What's your advice to this individual who's looking to either go all in with no money and a lot of weight on his shoulder from debt, but, you know, has that in him? It's what keeps him up. It's what, you know, puts him to sleep, to dream. And that's his motto.
Starting with nothing is actually, in my opinion, the best way to start, because you have to make it work. You've got to be all in. And so for that 21, 22-year-old listening that's coming out of college with debt, you're frustrated because recruiters won't return your phone calls even after the first interview goes really well. And you're like, what is freaking going on? Yeah. Take your life back in your own hands. Position yourself as a middleman between two rich people. Here's what I mean by that. You can very easily go to like someone's website and they, you know, sometimes they'll say like, enter our list. There's 30,000 people already on it to get whatever, your niche, marketing tactics, gardening tips, stay-at-home mom tips, you name it. You go find blogs. Reach out to those people with those lists and say, hey, I've found someone that will pay you $2,000 to sponsor an email send to your list. If I connect them, like, do you want the introduction? Let's then say they reply and say yes. Then you're thinking, oh crap, I have to go find someone that's willing to pay. Well, guess what? You just invented inventory for yourself though. You just got a product to sell that you don't have to do any work to build because you just sent a cold message. What you then do is go find people that pay to advertise in that niche. You can find this via their Facebook fan pages and what ads they're running. You can go on Google and search your niche and look at who's running ads in the top. Reach out to the CMOs of those companies and say, hey, I have a list of 35,000 people. You can reach them for $2,000, right? Or you can reach them for $3,000. I can get you $1,000 discount. Do you want me to connect you to the list owner for $2,000? I take $200 for facilitating the deal. And so it's all just copywriting and positioning. You want to put yourself in the middle of two rich people and take a cut. And then after you get sort of that going, you eventually have enough income, you pay your student debt, and then you're building your own company that you own the code of or you own the IP of, and you're building real equity value.
And you would advise that to be during off work hours? Still take the 9 to 5, still work that, or just let that be your main hustle?
Yeah. I mean, when you're just coming out, I mean, you're going to trade time for money for a period of time. The trick is to keep your expenses lower than your revenue, your income, so you can put a nest egg together and eventually buy yourself freedom to go buy. You're essentially buying yourself time to test and launch your new idea. So yeah, I mean, you can do this all on the side. This is all a great side hustle.
Awesome. Now, can you tell us a little bit about New Stealth Project? This doesn't have to do with the YouTube series. This is a new venture that you're tapping into or building. Yeah,
I mean, so picking up on the Heyo story, when I was in my dorm room, we grew that to, it was doing about $100,000 a month in revenue. So call it $1.2 million annual run rate. And investors reached out. And I sold a big chunk of the company to investors. And I didn't know this, but in 2015, when I sold the company, I would have made way more money if I hadn't taken VC investment at all. But I didn't know what a liquidation preference was, or a ratchet clause, or all these things in the VC term sheets. So what I realized is, wow, there should be a way for early stage startup founders to get money without giving up equity, but also without having to personally guarantee it. Like if they can't pay it back, the person giving the money shouldn't be able to go take their home or their car or things like that. And so that's what founderpath.com is. It's a bond market for private SaaS companies. It's the New Stealth Project. The way we're doing it is anyone with as little as 10 or 20 grand a month in revenue can go there, type in the calculator how much money you want, and we'll spit out an offer for you. And I think over time, what will happen is we'll process billions of dollars of money to early stage SaaS software founders without them having to give up equity. And so that's the vision, a bond market for SaaS companies.
Very cool. What's the website one more time?
Founderpath.com.
Awesome. Founderpath.com. That sounds amazing. That's and I've read a lot about the businessmen who are like, don't give away a percentage of equity. And then I've read people saying, you know, well, I've heard to stay away from VCs, you know, go into VCs, every kind of piece. Everyone's kind of got their own nature, but I think that's kind of bridging the gap. You're not giving up equity, but you're getting some help financially.
VC, and I hear the alarm going off, but like just to put a cap on that, in my opinion, going the VC route, you are essentially saying, I am committed to going after a moonshot. I am going after a $1 billion company or bust. Listen, if you take VC, if you do not build a $1 billion company, you lose. You're nothing to them. They don't care about you because the way the VC returns work, they have to have $1 billion outliers. That's what returns their fund and enables them to go raise more money for the fund. So the best way to raise VC is after you've bootstrapped a company and already had a little win. You know, you sold a company for $5 million, you bootstrapped, you have $2 million sitting in your bank. Okay, now you can afford, even with kids and a spouse, Now you can afford to go after a moonshot approach. But you, in my opinion, your first swing at it, in my opinion, you should not go down the VC road because you're setting yourself up. It's just higher. It's harder to execute $1 billion outcome. It's much more predictable and easy to hustle your way to a $5 million outcome.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Thank you for all that knowledge. Do you have time for 3 quick questions where you could answer 2 to 3 words?
Hit me.
Awesome. So first question, can the Unleash the Knowledge community expect more Nathan Latka books in the future?
No, I hated writing a book. It takes way too much time. And while I did get a massive advance, I don't know that I would do it again.
Awesome. What's the number 1 book other than your own that you find yourself recommending to others, reading again yourself, or gifting whenever you get a chance to?
A book called the 4 Agreements, and the new one that just came out called The 5th Agreement. Great books.
I've read the 4 Agreements. Fantastic book. Must read to literally any walking human being in the world. Last question. What's still unwritten for you?
Well, I'm 30, so 70 years.
There you go. I love that. Longevity. Plan for the end and try to maximize your time. I love that. Thank you so much, Nathan. This was amazing. Again, you're the Wall Street Journal bestselling author for How to Be a Capitalist Without Any Capital. I've posted your book many times before. I will continue to do so. I've enjoyed it personally, and I will be sure to pass it on to any aspiring entrepreneur, any guy that needs a side hustle, which is literally probably everyone in the current moment, and anyone that's looking for a more contemporary feel to how they can live their lives.
That's right, Owen. I appreciate that. Guys and gals, and look, again, don't pay for it, guys, if you don't have the money. We put out a lot of this stuff for free at capitalistbook.com.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Nathan, and have a great day.
Thanks, Owen.